See, you are collecting for one project. Okay, let us say you are collecting for building a university, and now suddenly they are dropping that project all of a sudden, and then they are moving on to another project, library or whatever. Now, as children, you are not just children, you are adolescents, that is, you are young adults. So you will be having all this thought process, like what is happening, we were asked to collect for this and we were asked to now collect for something else. So
Yeah, you see,
going on, or you
that is
propose at that time. Yes,
so
please.
that is actually the key thing, right? I know a lot of people have these questions, but you must understand that when we are there, we are totally into it. Like anything he says, we just believe it. It becomes our root cognition. So, for example, this temple building stuff, it started like, I don't know, eons ago. Since the time he came to the ashram, he's been bluffing about building a huge temple. And once it, like in the year of 2013, some little building was there, and then they broke that down. And that's when first they asked all of us to start calling and collecting huge amount of funds. And I tell you, people like they just like poured money into it because he actually like showed some kind of 3D structures in the display during his satsang, and we were like, whoa, he's actually going to do this, and thousands of people poured money into it. But after that, I think he took like one or two steps out of the thousands he had. The first thing was to get some pillars. I don't even know if even if that was what he personally did, because I remember it was somebody from Tamil Nadu who came and who donated those pillars, right? So it was granite pillars, and not sure if they were donated, but I think it was like somehow that person was made to give those, and then they had brought those, and then what they did was just put those pillars erect, and it was like 3 aisles they made, and then the second thing that he did was call all of us and then made us paint the temple. So I remember uh, we were told it's a golden temple, okay, but then what we did was actually paint it yellow and then put some little shiny paint over it. And it was really funny. Like obviously as children we were making fun of it, saying like, you know, we said it was golden temple and we are just painting it golden, and then they were like, no, you don't know, this paint has like pure gold in it, and after we paint this soon, Swamiji will get the gold ready and we are going to coat it completely with gold and stuff. And then they started bringing in many deities, and what they did was nothing but put a shed over it. It was just imagine erect pillars. It's like 3 aisles and then a shed over it, and that's it. That was the temple, and that's how it's been till today for literally like 4 or 5 years. Although people have put thousands into it, it's just the same. But what was our idea, you know? Like when I was there, how I was thinking, wow, Swamiji is doing so much to Hinduism. He's brought in so many deities. We do everyday puja. Literally, what would be happening there is every day, some or the other arrangement will get changed. Like he would say, put the deity over there, and then 2 days later he would be like, no, that deity should not be there. Move it over there, and that is how he would give his random instructions. And yet we would perceive it as some, like, you know, enlightening stuff where he's reviving the Hinduism. It is really funny. I know people outside cannot even understand it, right? But that is how you feel when you're inside. Anything he says is true. Anything he says is like so like awestruck. Like, you know, you're just like, wow, how much Swamiji is doing for it, how much hard work he's doing. 2 hours he'll come and sit in one meeting, and then by the end of that, people like all the administrators like Ranjita and Ma Pranapriya would be like, you guys are not understanding how much work Swamiji is leaving behind just to come and sit and talk to you guys for these 2 hours. So, like, you know, each and everything he does would be like exaggerated and emphasized on so much. And that is why, although we saw right in front of our eyes what was happening, we never really wanted to question it or even doubt about it. Really, I never even had a bit of doubt back then that if what Swamiji is doing is right or wrong. I never, thought that he was not doing enough for Hinduism. But only when I started thinking, what have we done for Hinduism? Like, just look back, since the 7 years that I have been here, what have I seen changing in the ashram? Nothing. People come, people go. Whoever comes gives in money, gets some problem, and then goes off. But the money is still with him. But what does he do with it? Nobody knows. And now you can see, like literally in each and every day of his satsang, you can see all his jewelry that he's wearing and all the gold and diamond and whatever he's wearing. But apart from that, I'm sure there's something really, like, cunning and criminal that he's doing. And I don't know how to explain it, but I'm sure all of you can understand, because if it's so much of money coming in and there's no output, then you know where it's all going, right?
Yes. So basically, like what I feel here is that you have been given the opportunity to improve Hinduism. This is what you are told. You are very special people. You got this opportunity, and Swamiji is the only person who is doing that. So this was the kind of picture that was projected to you. But essentially, when you are maturing a little bit, and when you are looking back, you will be able to understand, and it is very, very sharp of you to see that what have we done. That question has to be asked, and even then I don't think you would have had the guts to ask this question openly or discuss it with your friends. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's so true. Like, even if you have any doubt on some kind of thing, right? Like, there was this one kid who was thinking uh, about the same temple project, and then she couldn't even like confront it easily, right? So she, like, we were just conversing normally about something happening there, and then she like slowly tried asking me this. She was like, why is the temple still like this, and what is Swamiji's plan? And then that's it, like she immediately changed the topic, right? So we are never really that daring enough to doubt Swamiji, because the cognition we have there is, if at all we ask anything that against Swamiji, not even against, even if we doubt Swamiji a little bit, that means there is something seriously wrong in you, and you are treated separately, and immediately you're put under like some punishment. If you talk against Swamiji, you will be treated really weird. If you ask anything against the Sangha, you must not question it. And we would feel, personally, we ourselves would feel really bad that we are doubting our own Guru. And we would be like, oh, sorry, Swamiji, I'm surrendering to you. I'll not do this mistake again. And then we'll do all this. And then that's when we are considered, okay, now you're complete. You can join the group back. So this is how it literally happens there.
Okay, so basically, was tattletale encouraged? That is, if somebody is saying something about Swamiji or about the organization, where you encouraged to report this to your higher ups, was this kind of an atmosphere? That is, if you are complaining about somebody, then you are appreciated. Was that kind of atmosphere encouraged there?
That's literally what happens there. People who get to be with Swamiji are those who become the eye of Swamiji. Okay, that's how it's portrayed. So, if I go and tell Nityananda that, not actually, we directly don't go and straightforward talk to him, right? So we have this group chat kind of thing. So we have like in Facebook and Facebook Messenger, and then we have like uh, an app called Wire. So there are all these various social media apps. We'll have these groups like administration update, and then Gurukul updates. There are like hundreds of groups where each of us will have to report what we did today. And apart from that, if we have any other complaints, and whoever does that are called the eye of Swamiji, and they would be like, treated really special. They'll be like, wow, you're extremely integrated. So now you can join Swamiji's team. And it will be really funny. So we'll have all these kind of levels. So first thing is, you need to start following everything, and once you are being integrated to it, you will be part of the integrated team. And then slowly you need to become more responsible, right? And how responsibility is termed there is not just like taking up a project and doing it, because I've really seen people being sincere towards some project, but you are claimed, you are appreciated, and you're taken as a part of Swamiji's team if you start complaining. That's literally the key thing there. So I see somebody do something wrong, I have to go and tell it to my principal or my team lead, and then that person would go and report it to the administrator, who is Ma Pranapriya and Ranjita, and they will treat it, okay, you see, now you have become so responsible, this is why we'll have to keep doing it. And they'll keep encouraging us to do it more and more. So obviously a kid, like I've
Wow,
seen
this is
many
so
of the kids,
toxic, so toxic. Yeah.
like, yeah, that's really a bad way though. Like you see, that kid's mind is just getting so corrupted by it, right? We just see somebody do something and we're like, hey, I caught you. I see you're being inauthentic, you're being non-integrated. I'll go and report. And then we immediately go and then put a message in the group, and then they get caught, and then they're like scolded badly, and then we feel proud. That's how the entire cycle goes.
Okay, now you are saying that if a person is found to be speaking bad about Swamiji, or if a person is seen doubting the organization or Nityananda, then that person is being punished. So this word has so many levels of meaning. Isolation is one thing, that is nobody speaking to them or isolating them, putting them away. So that is a different thing. So what were the various levels of punishment? And this is going to be some, I think, hardcore stuff from what I have heard from outside. So please let me know what do you mean by getting punished inside the ashram? What does that actually include?
So you see, when I was there, we never, although I have seen people getting beaten. Firstly, I just want to tell this cognition that we have there. Okay, we never think anything is a punishment. What we are told there is it is called prayaschitta. It is not a punishment. And whatever Swamiji tells you to do, it is only for you to restore yourself, for you to align yourself back to Swamiji and to be integrated to him. So literally, we call it a process of training, right? Swamiji trains you, Swamiji sculpts you to become the masterpiece. So with this as the basic cognition and idea there, we would be like, uh, in the beginning it was just like, you'd be like shouted at and you'll be put in silence. Like I've been in silence for like some, I don't know how many months. And then or we would be put separate from the group, like nobody has to talk to us and nobody can tell us anything. And then sooner it started becoming like beatings, like with like cricket bat, literally that thick stick and all that's beaten. And then it started becoming like even worse, like they abuse you, like in all kind of dirty languages they use on you, and then they like put you away separately. See, the main important thing here is that we ourselves will start feeling like, what have I done? Oh my god, I'm doing something against Swamiji. I'm abusing Swamiji. And and when that starts raising in you, it's like, oh god, I'm going against my guru, I'm doing Guru Droha. That's it, done. So you're a Guru Drohi. So that's how everybody will start treating you. Like you've done some droha to, as you have done droha to Sadashiva himself. And you will start feeling like so bad. Literally, people that you can see their faces, how bad it becomes. And then one you'll have to, like, sit and write Nityananda's name 100,000 times, or you'll also be put into a punishment where you'll have to be inside a room, should not come out, and until you complete. And that completion is where you regret for what you've done, and you understand that Swamiji is the ultimate, and from now on you're going to follow whatever Swamiji says. And until the person writes that down and then posts it, and until Swamiji has to bless that completion, we are not allowed to do anything else. And punishments like these, rather than whether it is physically affecting us or no, firstly, it psychologically affects us completely. And then you can see the physical changes happening also. Like our features, the way we start uh, behaving will be totally different. And also you can see many of the ashramites faces, how bad it looks. You can see that stages that a sannyasi is supposed to have is never found in any of the ashramites or sannyasis, so-called sannyasis there at the ashram. You can even see Ma Pranapriya's face, how bad it has become, like how she was before and how she is now is totally different. Because for each and every uh, small mistakes that is done, like you just forget to do some project given to you, then you're given a punishment, and then you have to complete, and then Swamiji have to bless you, and then you come out, and then they say you're a new being now. But ultimately it'll be like levels of getting brainwashed, literally, because every time you're put into punishment, the way psychologically you get affected is something that you never realize is happening to you.
Okay, so basically, whenever you are actual common sense is working, you are put into punishment, and that portion of the common sense is actually blunted or actually taken away. So you will never be able to think like that. So slowly what will happen is, like, you will not be able to have a mind of your own, and I think that is exactly what they are aiming at, to create a set of
Yeah.
zombies who will do what they want you to do exactly and not question it. And even if it is affecting you psychologically, even if it is affecting you, if you are pushing yourself too hard than you should, then that you should never question that, because that is exactly what Swamiji wants you to do. So this is highly toxic, and that too in developing individuals. For adults it is different. For adults, a few years of therapy might be, sufficient to come out of the situation. But for children it is on a totally different level. For children, it may even totally affect the entire future of the children. It may even make psychotic individuals, or even negative tendencies like self incrimination and depression. All of these things are a great possibility. So this is something that,
Actually,
yeah,
one I would like to give a really strong example here.
please.
Instead of 2019, probably in the month of like May, June, all of us had moved from Bangalore. Like all the females moved from Bangalore to Gujarat, right? And there was this incident that took place in the Gujarat campus, where a girl named Mar Shambhava, she was like 13 years old. Yeah, she's 13 years old, and she was feeling too tortured there. Like we all witnessed it, right in front of her eyes. So there was this mentor trying to call her and trying to make her sit and do these calls for enriching, and she was just like too irritated. And you won't believe, she was so angry, she shouted, and then she just jumped off the second floor.
Oh my
Like,
god.
can you believe it?
Oh my
She
god.
just jumped without thinking, literally. And first, all of us were shocked, and then like we ran down, and then thank God nothing really happened to her. But although just her ankle got sprained, and her leg was bad, nothing really happened to her. But this is something serious that we need to look into, right? But how it was taken there was just like as if she had done some mistake. It was we like personally, I never thought that oh God, there's something seriously wrong. Why is she feeling so tortured? But how we think, see how inauthentic she is, how irresponsible she is. She's not even wanting
Wow.
to be with Swamiji. She's just missing all what Swamiji wants to give her. And look how crazy she's behaving. That's how we'll conclude. We'll never really think that, oh my God, something is seriously wrong here, which is why she's feeling so tortured.
No, you can leave that portion alone. See, basically, in a school, if a child is like, physically not well, if a person is getting, like, let us say, typhoid or jaundice or something, they are not coming to school for 1 week's time or even 15 days time. After that, when that girl or boy is coming inside the classroom, there will be so many people gathering around her, all of her friends asking, hey, what happened to you? Now a girl has jumped from
Yeah.
the second floor and you thought she is crazy. This is the kind of mindset that has been inculcated into you. I really do not have even words to describe like what sort of individuals are being created there. Thankfully you came out, and I really wish and pray that your sisters also come out of this and they get the sufficient deprogramming done and they are able to be normal in their lives. Now this is getting to a totally different level of psychotic damage, and this is getting to a totally different level of cult brainwash system. So I'm really taken aback by all of these things. So that is the end of the second part of our interview, and the third part will follow soon. Just like I told in the last video, questions for Ms. Kalpalata Janardhan can be posted in the comments, and if anybody genuinely wants to ask her questions personally, a series of questions, or you want to have a discussion about what has happened, her father has promised that she will be reappearing for an interview, and she has also agreed in the upcoming week. So if you want to do that, you can personally contact me and I will be able to arrange for that, where we can all have a Zoom call together and we can make that happen, make that interview happen. That being said, we will end this part of the interview, and the third part of the interview will soon follow. दच्चं योरा वृणीमहे गातुं यज्ञाय गातुं यज्ञपतये दैवी स्वस्तिरस्तु नः स्वस्तिर्मानुषेभ्यः ऊर्ध्वं जिगातु वेषजं शन्नो अस्तु द्विपतये संचतुष्पते। ओम शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। नमः सदसे।